Productivity has always been a serious concern of the management of firms. If it improves, it means greater chances for the company to grow and be more stable. Higher productivity, however, is not a result of chance. It happens because of harder, more efficient, and more intelligent work made by the employees. To be willing partners, however, the requirement is for them to be properly motivated. When the cost of other factors of production is seriously affecting the viability of the firm, the remaining factor, example the labor force, may save the company from financial difficulties. However, this will depend on whether or not labor will be motivated to perform their assigned task. This week's lesson will focus on motivating employees in the engineering organization. The topics in this lesson include what is motivation? So we will define what is motivation. Theories of motivation. So we're going to look at the different theories of motivation, the Maslow's need hierarchy, Herzberg's two-factor theory, expectancy, and the goal setting theory. And then finally, we will have the techniques of motivation. So motivation through job design, through rewards, employee participation, and some other motivation techniques. What is motivation? Motivating refers to the act of giving employees reasons or incentives to work to achieve organizational objectives. Motivation, on the other hand, refers to the process of activating behavior, sustaining it, and directing it toward a particular goal. This definition is useful because it specifies three stages: activating, sustaining, and directing actions toward the achievement of objectives. There are certain factors influencing a person's desire to do his job well. So they are the following. Number one, willingness to do a job. People who like what they are doing are highly motivated to produce the expected output. Number two is self-confidence in carrying out a task. When employees feel that they have the required skill and training to perform a task, the more motivated they become. And lastly, needs satisfaction. People will do their jobs well if they feel that by doing so, their needs will be satisfied. Now, let's take a look at the different theories of motivation. There are various theories of motivation, but only the four most influential ones will be discussed. They consist of the following: Maslow's needs hierarchy theory, you have Herzberg's two-factor theory, expectancy theory, and the goal setting theory. Abraham Maslow, a psychologist, theorized that human beings have five basic needs, which are the following: physiological, security, social, esteem, and self-actualization. These needs are hierarchical, which means that one need will have to be satisfied first before the other need. Physiological needs, these are that concerns with biological needs like food, drink, rest, and sex fall under the category of physiological needs. These needs take priority over other needs. For security needs, so after satisfying the physiological needs, people will seek to satisfy their safety needs. This includes freedom from harm coming from the elements or from other people, financial security, which may be affected by loss of job or the breadwinner in the family. Social needs, after satisfying their physiological and security needs, the employee will now strive to secure love, affection, and the need to be accepted by peers. The fourth level of needs is called esteem needs, and they refer to the need for a positive self-image and self-respect and the need to be respected by others. The fifth and the topmost level needs in the hierarchy are called self-actualization needs and involve realizing our full potential as human beings and becoming all that we are able to be. Even if Maslow's theory has been largely questioned, one basic premise cannot be discarded. A fulfilled need no longer motivates an individual. If this is the situation the subordinate is in, the engineer manager must identify an unfulfilled need and work out a scheme so that the subordinate will be motivated to work in order to satisfy the unfulfilled need. The two-factor theory is one developed by Frederick Herzberg, indicating that a satisfied employee is motivated from within to work harder and that a dissatisfied employee is not self-motivated. Herzberg identified two classes of factors associated with employee satisfaction and dissatisfaction. In his research, Herzberg found out that satisfied employees mentioned the following factors called satisfiers or motivation factors responsible for job satisfaction. You have achievement, recognition, the work itself, responsibility, advancement, and growth. Dissatisfied employees mentioned the following factors called dissatisfiers or hygiene factors as responsible for job dissatisfaction. Number one, you have the company policy, you have the administration, supervision, relationship with supervisor, work conditions, salary, relationship with peers, personal life, relationship with subordinates, status, and security. If Herzberg's theory will be considered by the engineer manager in motivating employees, he must do something to eliminate the dissatisfiers and install satisfiers. Expectancy theory is a motivation model based on the assumption that an individual will work depending on his perception of the probability of his expectations to happen. The theory poses the idea that motivation is determined by expectancies and balances. An expectancy is a belief about the likelihood or probability that a particular behavioral act, example attending training sessions, will lead to a particular outcome, for example a promotion. Balance is the value an individual places on the expected outcomes or rewards. Expectancy theory is based on the assumption that a combination of forces within the individual and in the environment determines the behavior. It also assumes that people make decisions about their own behavior and that of organizations. People have different types of needs, goals, and desires, and people have choices among alternative behaviors based on the extent to which they think a certain behavior will lead to a desired outcome. Goal setting refers to the process of improving performance with objectives, deadlines, or quality standard. When individuals or groups are assigned specific goals, a clear direction is provided and which later motivates them to achieve these goals. The goal-setting model drawn by Edwin Locke consists of the following components. Number one, goal content. To be sufficient in content, goals must be challenging, attainable, specific and measurable, time-limited, and relevant. When goals are challenging, higher performance may be expected. For example, a sales quota imposed by companies to individual members of their sales force. Second is goal commitment. When individuals or groups are committed to the goals they are supposed to achieve, there's a chance that they will be able to achieve them. Number three, it's work behavior. Goals influence behaviors in terms of direction, effort, persistence, and planning. When an individual is provided with direction, performance is facilitated. In trying to attain goals that are already indicated, the individual is provided with the direction to exert more effort. The identification of goals provide a reason for an individual to persist in his efforts until the goal is attained. Once the goals are set, the first important input to planning is already in place. And the last one is feedback aspects. Feedback provides the individuals with a way of knowing how far they have gone in achieving objectives. Feedback also facilitates the introduction of corrective measures whenever they are found to be necessary. Individual or groups of individuals may be motivated to perform through the use of various techniques. In this lesson, we're going to look at the techniques that are classified as follows: motivation through job design, motivation through rewards, motivation through employee participation, and other motivation techniques for diverse workforce. So let us look at the first one. Motivation through job design. A person will be highly motivated to perform if he is assigned a job he likes. The first requisite, however, is to design jobs that will meet the requirements of the organization and the persons who will occupy them. Job design may be defined as specifying the task that constitutes a job for an individual or a group. In motivating through the use of job design, two approaches may be used: fitting people to jobs or fitting jobs to people. In fitting jobs to people, routine and repetitive tasks make workers suffer from chronic dissatisfaction. So to avoid this, the following remedies may be adopted. Number one, you have realistic job previews, where management provides honest explanations of what a job actually entails. Job rotation, where people are moved periodically from one specialized job to another. Limited exposure, where workers' exposure to highly fragmented and tedious job is limited. For fitting jobs to people, instead of changing the person, management may consider changing the job. This may be achieved with the use of the following: job enlargement, where two or more specialized tasks in a workflow sequence is combined into a single job; or job enrichment, where efforts are made to make jobs more interesting, challenging, and rewarding. Another motivation technique is motivating through rewards. Rewards consist of material and psychological benefits to employees for performing tasks in the workplace. Properly administered reward systems can improve job performance and satisfaction. Rewards may be classified into two categories: extrinsic and intrinsic. Extrinsic rewards, those which refer to payoffs granted to the individual by another party. Examples are money, employee benefits, promotions, recognition, status symbols, praise, etc. Intrinsic rewards, these are internally experienced payoffs which are self-granted. Examples are sense of accomplishment, self-esteem, and self-actualization. Extrinsic and intrinsic rewards coincide with needs spelled out at the beginning of this lesson. To motivate job performance effectively, extrinsic rewards must be properly managed in line with the following. Number one, it must satisfy individual needs. No single type of reward is generally applicable to all employees. This is because individual persons have needs different from other persons. As much as possible, the particular needs of an individual must be matched with the corresponding reward if motivation is the objective. The administrative constraints inherent to such systems, however, will be a hindrance to its adoption. Whenever feasible, however, it must be used. Second, employees must believe effort will lead to reward. Employees must believe that efforts will lead to reward, otherwise they will not strive to turn in more efforts in their particular job assignment. Third one, rewards must be equitable. Rewards that are not equitable will not produce the desired motivation. And number four, rewards must be linked to performance. When employees know that reward is tied up to individual performance, management may expect extra efforts from them. A negative example is the practice in some government offices where every employee, regardless of performance, is given a productivity bonus. As a result, the majority are not motivated to exert extra efforts. Another technique is motivating through employee participation. When employees participate in designing various aspects of their jobs, the personal involvement oftentimes is carried up to the point where the task is completed. The specific activities identified where employees may participate are as follows: setting goals, making decisions, solving problems, and designing and implementing organizational changes. The more popular approaches to participation includes the following. You have the quality control circles and self-managed teams. A quality control circle is a method of direct employee participation. The objective of the QCC is to increase productivity and quality of output. The circle consists of a group of 3 to 10 employees, usually doing related work, who meet at regular intervals, say 1 hour per week, to identify problems and discuss their solutions. The circle may include a leader but rely on democratic processes. The members of the team are trained in various analysis techniques by a coordinator. Now let's take a look at the QCC process. The QCC members analyze the problem or the situation through brainstorming, data gathering, and establishing the cause and effect. This will produce a set of solutions and recommendations that the QCC will prepare and submit to the management. The management now will consider QCC recommendations and make decisions whether or not to implement or reject the recommendations. Results are then measured if implemented, and feedback recognition if successful, and rewards given to QCC members. If it's not implemented or the implementation has encountered some issues, the QCC members will again analyze the situation, collect the data, brainstorm, and do the process all over again. When workers have reached a certain degree of discipline, they may be ripe for forming self-managed teams. Also known as autonomous work groups or high-performance teams, self-managed teams take on traditional managerial tasks as part of their normal work routine. The self-managed teams work on their own, turning out complete product or service and receiving minimal supervision from managers who act more as facilitators than supervisors. When a product or service is produced by a group of professionals or specialists, they might as well be formed as self-managed teams to save on supervisory costs. To succeed, an employee participation program will require the following. Number one, a profit sharing or gain sharing plan, a long-term employee relationship with good job security, a concerted effort to build and maintain group cohesiveness, and protection of the individual employees' rights. The advent of theories on individual differences and the biological clock of human beings put pressure on the engineer manager to adopt other motivation techniques whenever applicable. These refer to the following. Number one, you have the flexible work schedules. There is an arrangement called flex time, which allows employees to determine their own arrival and departure times within specified limits. For example, a firm may allow one group of employees to take the 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. schedule, then another group takes the 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. schedule, and another group takes the 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. schedule. An alternative to this arrangement is the adoption of the 40-hour work in 4 days, allowing an employee to choose a day off. There are certain benefits that are offered by flexible work schedules, although this is not appropriate for all. Nevertheless, the engineer manager must decide when it is applicable. Another method is the family support services. Employees are oftentimes burdened by family obligations like caring for children. Progressive companies provide daycare facilities for children of employees. A multinational company in far-flung Davao province have opened an elementary school and high school within the plantation site. Third one is sabbaticals. A sabbatical leave is one given to an employee after a certain number of years of service. The employee is allowed to go on leave for 2 months to 1 year with pay to give him time for family, recreations, and travel. It is expected that when the employee returns for work, his motivation is improved. Motivating is the management action of giving employees reasons or incentives to work to achieve organizational objectives. Motivation is the process of activating behavior, sustaining it, and directing it towards a particular goal. As Bob Nelson stated, employees' motivation is a direct result of the sum of interactions with his or her manager. Thus, it is the role of the engineer manager to motivate his employees in order to increase production output, improve efficiency, improve employees' morals, and achieve organizational objectives.